Hello again, welcome back. So in the last video we had prepared our database classes for the room database, and in this video we're actually going to work on that room database. So at first I'd like to introduce you. I've added these 5 fragments here uh, for the 4 different operations and one for choosing between those operations. So I'm going to show you each and every fragment, the code involved in it, and you can just pause the video and then insert code as stated. So inside add user fragment, so there's nothing but a layout inflated here. So inside this layout I have two edit texts for inserting my values and a save button here. Okay, and then let me go to delete fragment. Again, there's nothing but an inflated layout here. So inside this layout I've just inserted one edit text and then a button. The main fragment, again an inflated layout, and inside this layout I have 4 different buttons for add, update, view and delete. Inside update fragment, again I have a layout, and inside this layout I have 2 edit text and an update button. Inside view fragment I actually have a text view which is not prepared actually, so let me name it linear layout, and the text will be set from Java. Just give an ID. So okay, result. So yeah, that's it. Now what we need to do is we need to first initialize our database from our main activity. All right, so what we can do here is public static app database. Let me name it here, app database. So finally here app database equals to app database equals to room dot database builder. So we need a context, that is this. Again room database class, which is app database dot class, and finally a database name. So we're going to give it user info. Room database cannot be the operations inside the room database cannot be run on main thread or the UI thread. So here we are not going to create a separate thread for that, but we are going to allow it to run on main thread and finally build. So yeah, this is done. Also I'd like to remind you that inside app database in this class I've extended this class to room database. All right, so yeah, now in main activity I'd like to declare a fragment manager here, static fragment manager fm. This fm is going to be fm equals to get support fragment manager dot begin transaction dot add r dot id dot, this is the id for our frame layout, which we have not inserted. All right, so let's name it first and then we'll insert it, a new main fragment. Finally we need a commit statement here. Okay, we need a frame layout in our main layout here, that is activity underscore main. So let's insert a frame layout, match parent, and we can give it an id of frame that we have inserted earlier. Back in main activity, okay, there's something wrong here. This should have been okay, dot commit. So okay, I should have initialized this earlier. So fm equals to get support fragment manager, just this, and then fm dot begin transaction is going to work there. So at last the commit statement, I guess commit is a function which is going to have those enclosing and closing brackets. Now according to our code, our app will jump into main fragment here. So inside main fragment, as you can see, we have four different buttons. So here I can define these buttons for add, view, update and delete. So inside, let me override a new method, that is on view created, and define each of these objects here. So view dot and user id r dot id dot btn add. Similarly for view, btn view, similarly for update, it's going to be btn update. And for delete, it's going to be btn delete. We can also place clicks on all of these buttons. Okay, this might have some confusion here, so let me name this dot view, because we need to point it to the upper view and not this view here. So the name is same, so it might get messed up there. Now while we place click on our add button, we need to open our add user fragment. So for that, we already have a fragment manager in main activity, so we are going to use that main activity.fm dot begin transaction dot and replace, because we have already added a fragment, r dot id dot again a frame layout id, and then new add user fragment. Also, if you don't want to save the previous fragment in stack, we can add to backstack null and then finally a commit. So yeah, now in this fragment, if we press our add button, our program flow is going to move to add user fragment. So inside this fragment, I have two edit text and a button, so I can define them. Text name, user or email. Define each of them inside on view created. So name is my edit text. Email is my another edit text. Also I need a button here, which is B1. Let me name it B1, which is actually my save button or my add button. I don't remember the ID. Find view by ID dot ID dot. Let me check it here. The ID I have used, so it is save, btn save. Yeah, so we can place click on our B1 then. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to prepare our values before inserting into database. While inserting into database, we have this user class here, which actually represents our table name or the fields inside them. So we're going to use this exact class to prepare our values to. So user, let me import this, equals to new user, and user dot set name is going to be name dot get text dot toString, and similarly user dot email set email is going to be email dot get text dot toString. Okay, now I have to just call this app database object dot app database. Okay, I might have done something wrong, so let's go back to app database class here. So okay, yeah, this was the case. So inside this abstract method declaration, I should have used my interface, database access interface, and this would have done the trick. So I need add user here, and then I'm going to pass the current user. So yeah, after this is done, I can show my toast. That is, let me give a context, a record, added successfully, and then revert my fragment back to back in my main fragment. So main activity dot fm dot begin transaction dot replace again r dot id dot frame, and then new main fragment. So okay, this seems to be done. So you can run your application and then click on add user and then save your data. Okay, so in the next video we are going to view that data and edit it or delete it respectively. Thanks for staying with me in this video. See you in the next one.